I closed the last case file as the city lights of New York began to glitter outside my law firm's floor-to-ceiling windows. My phone buzzed on the desk. A voice message from Sophia Hayes. Her tone teasing and affectionate. "Counselor, the bridal shop is about to close. If you don't come to approve the final photos soon, this bride is going on strike. 15 minutes. I'll pay the penalty if I'm late." Grabbing my suit jacket, I rushed for the elevator. In 6 months, I was going to marry my childhood sweetheart, Sophia, and today was the day we'd booked to finalize our wedding photos. My name is Ethan Cole. My parents run the massive Cole Corporation. I've never had to worry about money, but the backstabbing and deceit of the corporate world never appealed to me. I was always more drawn to the fairness and justice enshrined in the law. After getting my law degree, I turned down my parents' offer to groom me at the family business and instead founded my own law firm. Two outsiders. It looked like I was abandoning a kingdom to go struggle in the trenches, but I loved it. Besides, the corporation wasn't going anywhere, and my dad was too young to be thinking about retirement anyway. Thanks to a solid foundation of legal knowledge and a meticulous work ethic, the firm was thriving and had started to make a name for itself in the city. Sophia Hayes and I had known each other for years. She was the daughter of the Hayes global dynasty, and our families were old friends. We grew up together, went to the same schools, and played in the same neighborhood. I can still clearly remember the promise we made when we were 7. "Ethan, you stole my lollipop again." Sophia stomped her foot, her little hands clenched into fists. I popped the strawberry lollipop in my mouth and mumbled deliberately, "That's what you get for being slow. Catch me if you can." With that, I bolted toward the slide in her family's sprawling backyard garden. Sophia's cheeks flushed red with anger as she hiked up her dress and chased after me. "You just wait. I'm telling your mom and you're going to be in big trouble." I glanced back, making a goofy face. "Nope. Not giving it back. You stole my remote control monster truck last week." Our chase led us over to the swing set. My foot caught on a loose stone and I stumbled. Sophia's hand shot out and grabbed my arm, steadying me. "See, Serge, you right for teasing me," she said, trying to sound stern, but she was already checking to see if I was hurt. I just grinned and pulled another lollipop from behind my back. "Kidding. This one's for you." I had 2 the whole time. Her eyes widened before she snatched it from my hand. "I guess you have a conscience after all. But if you ever do that again, I'm seriously not talking to you." We sat on the swings, our feet dangling, chatting about silly things from school. "Do you think when we grow up, we'll still hang out like this?" Sophia asked suddenly. I nodded without a second's hesitation. "Of course, we'll go to middle school together and high school and college, and then I'm going to marry you, and we'll live together until we're old and gray." Sophia beamed, her smile revealing 2 adorable dimples. "Pinky swear. Cross your heart and hope to die. 100 years, no takebacks." When we were 12, a ripple disturbed the calm waters of our lives. That summer, our families took a trip out west together to a resort near Jackson. That's when Leo Vance entered our lives. "Ethan, come on. Let's go." Sophia's voice from that day is still crystal clear in my memory. From the window of our rental cabin, she pointed excitedly at a shimmering river in the distance. "The grown-ups are all taking a nap. Let's go plant a water, please. It looks so refreshing." My gut instinct was to say no. "Your dad said that area isn't developed. It's too dangerous. Then we'll just splash around on the bank." She kicked off her sandals at the door, a pink ribbon in her hair coming loose. "Just for 10 minutes. Please come with me. I promise I won't go far. Pinky swear." Before I could stop her, she was gone, a flash of color heading for the trees. I had no choice but to run after her. "Look, a beautiful butterfly. Ethan, let's catch it." I didn't have time to grab her before she was already chasing a vibrant blue butterfly toward the riverbank. "Soft, don't get too close to the water." She turned back just as the butterfly landed on her fingertip. In that instant, her foot slipped on a wet rock and with a cry, she tumbled into the fast-moving current. "Ethan, help me." I lunged, grabbing for her wrist, but her momentum pulled me off balance, and we both plunged into the freezing water. I held onto her wrist for dear life as the powerful current tried to drag us under. "Hold your breath. Don't open your mouth," I yelled, her nails dug into my arm. As the water closed over our heads, I used every last bit of my strength to push her upward. The next time I opened my eyes, I was in a hospital room, the rhythmic drip of force feeding into my arm. Sophia was slumped over the edge of my bed, hearing me stir. She shot up, her eyes swollen and puffy. "Ethan, you're finally awake. You've had a fever for 3 days. My mother, her eyes red-rimmed, stroked my hand. Thank God you're awake. My father let out a long breath of relief. The doctor said, as long as you woke up, you'd be fine. We owe it all to that boy, Leo. He's the one who saved you both. Sophia's father stood at the foot of the bed, his voice trembling slightly. The boy's been waiting at the hospital this whole time. He refused to leave until you were both awake. Sophia suddenly gripped my fingers, her eyes welling up again. Ethan, I woke up before you, and I was so scared you wouldn't. I'm never running off like that again. My head was still fuzzy. I tried to piece together what happened after we fell in, but all I could recall was the rushing water and the bone-chilling cold. I turned my head and saw a thin, nervous-looking boy standing in the doorway. You're awake. Are you okay? He asked timidly. You're Leo? The sound of my own voice made my head buzz. I'm sorry. I just remember Sophia falling in and trying to pull her out. And then waking up here. I can't remember anything in between. My head hurts. You don't remember any of it. Leo looked surprised. My mother started gently massaging my temples while turning to him, her eyes filled with gratitude. Leo, we can't thank you enough. If it weren't for you. It's okay, ma'am. Leo stared at the floor. It was the right thing to do. Sophia pulled an orange candy from her pocket and pressed it into his hand. Leo, this is orange flavor. You said yesterday you liked this one. The tips of the boy's ears turned red as he took the candy. His fingers brushed her palm and he quickly pulled his hand away. He glanced up at me, an expression in his eyes I couldn't decipher before forcing a small smile. That was how we first met. Later, I learned that Leo's parents had passed away and he was being raised by his grandmother in extreme poverty. Mr. Hayes decided to sponsor the resilient young man, promising to send his grandmother money every month. Leo himself came back with us to New York City to get a better education. Mr. Hayes set him up in a small apartment owned by his company, and my father hired a housekeeper to look after him. And just like that, our world of two suddenly had a third person in it. Leo, I made a study guide from the practice exams. You should look it over. It should help you raise your grades. Leo, I heard you won second place in the city math competition. Not quite as good as Ethan, but that's still amazing. I had to admit, Leo was sharp. He was an excellent student all through school. After college, he said he wanted to repay our families for their kindness. So, Mr. Hayes gave him a job at Hayes Global as Sophia's assistant. For over a decade, something always fell off to me, maybe connected to that gap in my memory. But Leo never gave me any concrete reason to distrust him. So, eventually, I let it go. A sharp ding from the elevator sliced through my thoughts. I pulled out my phone. The lock screen was a selfie Sophia had taken while trying on wedding dresses, her fingers making a little heart. She was still just as adorable. As the elevator doors opened, a notification popped up. I glanced down. It was a new post from Leo on Instagram. The photo showed him lying in my Aunt Sophia's marital bed covered with a custom embroidered duvet we'd ordered. The caption read, "My sister is so kind, letting me experience what it feels like to be a newlywed." My hand tightened around the phone, a hot surge of anger rising in my chest. I checked the time, 6:17 p.m. Sophia was at the bridal shop waiting for me. Did she know about this? I took a deep breath, locked my phone, and shoved it in my pocket. In the parking garage, the roar of my engine shattered the silence. I slammed on the accelerator. The law firm shrinking rapidly in my rearview mirror. Our new house was in the Crestwood Estates, a development built by Hayes Global. The fingerprint lock clicked open. The master bedroom door was ajar, and the sight of the rumpled, disturbed sheets on our bed was a punch to the gut. Just then, my phone rang. It was Sophia, her voice puzzled. "Ethan, what's taking you so long?" "Sophia," I interrupted, my voice colder than I intended. "Why does Leo have the code to our house?" "What?" She sounded completely bewildered. "That's impossible." Then a pause. "Oh, wait. I remember now. I left a file at home last week and was stuck in a meeting, so I had him go get it for me. I set a temporary guest password for my phone and then completely forgot to delete it." "Did he go inside?" I let out a bitter laugh. "He didn't just go inside. He posted on Instagram. He didn't see it." "Ethan, hold on." "Huh? I don't see anything on his feed." "Of course you don't," I said with a dark chuckle. "He must have posted it to his close friends list and only put me on it. A pathetic attempt to stir up trouble. Saf. It seems we've underestimated him." Sophia is tone-hearted. "Ethan, wait for me. I'm coming right." "Don't. You stay there. I'll handle this." I said, pinching the bridge of my nose. Finish what you're doing. We'll talk later. After hanging up, I opened my messages to Leo. Where are you? The reply was almost instant. Ethan, I'm at the coffee shop near your place. What's up? I loosened my tie and walked back out the door. His smug smile was wiped clean off his face when he saw the look on mine. He was standing just outside the coffee shop. And as I got out of my car, he put on a look of casual indifference. Ethan, didn't expect to see you here. What can I do for you? What's the meaning of this? I shoved my phone in his face. He glanced at the screen and let out a short, ugly laugh. It means exactly what it says. Sophia is a generous person. She saw that I'm not used to this kind of luxury and wanted to give me a taste of what it's like to be the groom. Shut up. I took a step forward and the sheer force of my presence made him instinctively back away. So, the act is over after more than a decade of playing nice. Huh? A twisted excitement flickered in Leo's eyes. Are you so sure Sophia loves you? She'll spend an hour with me in a bookstore. She remembers all my food allergies. Ethan, don't be so full of yourself. He leaned in close, his voice a low hiss. I've been in love with Sophia since the day I met her, and I'm going to have her. Rage boiled over. I grabbed him by the collar. I'm warning you. Stay away from her. Oh, did I hit a nerve? Leo stared back, his eyes full of defiance. The one who isn't loved is the pathetic third wheel. Your relationship is nothing more than an arrangement made by your parents. Leo, what are you doing? A familiar voice cut through the tension. In a split second, Leo's entire demeanor changed. He adopted a look of pure terror and before I could react, threw himself backward, hitting the pavement hard. Tears welled up in his eyes. Ethan, please don't be angry. I'm sorry. Sophia ran over, her face etched with worry, checking to make sure I was okay. What happened? Out of the corner of my eye, I saw the flash of jealousy in Leo's expression. He bit his lip, his voice thick with fake emotion. I just mentioned that you've seemed tired lately, Sophia, and suggested that Ethan should take better care of you. He just exploded. Maybe I said too much. I was just worried about you. Please don't be mad at him. It's my fault. I stared at his duplicitous act, too angry to speak. Sophia, seeing that I was unharmed, turned to Leo, her expression hardening. Leo, who gave you permission to enter my and Ethan's home? Leo looked wounded. Sophia, you must be misunderstanding something. I've never been inside. Why are you being so harsh today? You didn't even call me Leo. I almost laughed. You didn't just go inside. You posted a picture to provoke me. I held up my phone to show her my Instagram feed, but the post was gone. Leo looked at me with wide, innocent eyes. Ethan, I know you don't like me, but you can't just make up lies like that to hurt me. Before Leo could continue his performance, Sophia had her phone out and was making a call. Carla, get a cleaning crew to 88, Crestwood Lane. I want every piece of furniture, every decorative item, everything replaced. Have it done by noon tomorrow? She hung up and took my arm. Ethan, let's go. The color drained from Leo's face. Sophia, you don't believe me? Sophia glanced back at him. Leo, I don't know if you're smart or just stupid. Have you never heard of a screenshot? She paused, but even without one, I believe Ethan. Sophia. Leo scrambled to his feet to follow us, then clutched his knee as if in pain, a look of desperation in his eyes. I was wrong. I had my reasons. I was curious to see what he could possibly come up with. I stopped. Oh, and what reason would require you to be in someone else's house in their bed? Leo lowered his head. My grandmother, she's not well. She's always wanted me to get married soon. I just want to take a few pictures in your house, too, to trick her into thinking I had a fiancé and that we were getting our new home ready. Sophia didn't even bother to poke holes in his flimsy, pathetic excuse. She didn't look back. I don't want to hear any more of it. Out of gratitude for what you did all those years ago, I have always looked out for you. I've been willing to overlook small mistakes. But today, you challenged Ethan. You crossed the line. Her voice was cold enough to cut glass. Don't use that debt as a bargaining chip. This was your one and only warning. It will not happen again. As the evening breeze carried away the sound of Leo's fading sobs, Sophia suddenly let out a small laugh. Ethan, how come you didn't doubt me for a second? Her eyes were shining as she looked up at me. Waiting. I smile because I know a loser when I see one. He's probably been reading too many of those trashy Reddit stories where one simple misunderstanding ruins everything. He thinks a guy like me would just internalize it all instead of actually talking to my fiancé. Sophia snorted. I'll admit he's competent at his job. I gave him more responsibility, and it seems to have fostered some delusions of grandeur. I pulled her into my arms and kissed her. So, my dear Sophia, what are you going to do about it? She smiled. Her efficiency was legendary. Less than 30 minutes later, it was all handled. I've already had him transferred to another department. Dad said we couldn't just fire him outright because of what happened back then. My new assistant is Mrs. Gable's daughter. And to be safe, I'm never hiring a male assistant again. Sophia playfully tapped my nose. I can't have my dear husband getting the wrong idea with no one to plead my case to. I placed my hand over hers. And what if he doesn't back down? Then let him try, she said, her hand tightening into a fist. Today's stunt has officially canceled out any debt we owed him for that day at the river. If he tries anything else, our legal department won't be so forgiving. 3 days later, I was in a conference room at my firm with a new client, a polished-looking woman who introduced herself as Monica Lane. Mr. Cole, that company scammed me out of $800,000. Her voice cracked and she began to sob. I can't even make rent. I pushed the box of tissues toward her, my eyes catching the deliberate display of her collarbone. Ms. Lane, would you mind providing the bank statements and the original contract? Of course, they're right here in my purse. As she bent over to rifle through her bag, she suddenly lunged forward, ripping open the buttons of her blouse to expose her bra and throwing herself at me in an exaggerated pose. At the exact same moment, the conference room door burst open. Leo stood there, phone held high and recording, his voice trembling with manufactured shock. Sophia, look, it's Ethan Ease. Ethan, darling, you promised you were going to marry me. Monica shrieked, collapsing to the floor in a heap of fake tears. You told me your engagement to Sophia Hayes was just a business arrangement, a complete sham. You said you loved me. Leo rushed toward me, his face a mask of anguish. I knew something was wrong. I knew it. Ethan, how could you do this to Sophia? I pushed Monica away, straightened my suit, and looked directly at Sophia, saying nothing. Sophia leaned against the doorframe, casting a sideways glance at Leo. Leo, so you're telling me this is the woman you saw Ethan with? The one you saw him getting cozy with? The one you saw him checking into a hotel with? Leo sighed dramatically. Yes, Sophia, it is. I tried to talk to him to remind him to cherish you, but he wouldn't listen. He said he had no feelings for you. That it was all just an obligation to his parents. Oh, it's all my fault. If only I tried harder, maybe I could have saved him. Sophia's gaze swept over Leo's flushed face before landing on me, her expression instantly softening. Ethan, I want to hear your side of the story. And remember, whatever you say, I'll believe you. I scoffed and opened the security app on my phone. The live feed from the conference room appeared on the screen clear as day. After that incident last week, I had discreet cameras installed throughout the entire office. I figured they might come in handy. I held the phone up for Monica to see. Do I need to forward this entire recording to the police? Monica's face went pale. She scrambled to her feet and pointed a shaking finger at Leo. It was him. He gave me $5,000. He said he was helping Maisie her fiancé's true colors. That's the only reason you're lying. Who paid you to frame me? Why would I ever do something like that? Leo cried out. Ethan, I know I was wrong about what happened the other day, but I've already been demoted to the sales department. Isn't that enough for you after I risked my life to save you and Sophia from that river? Can't you just leave me alone? Enough. Sophia's voice was like ice. I warned you last time that it was your final chance. As of this moment, you're no longer an employee of Hayes Global. Consider the past decade of support as repayment in full for any and all debts. I pressed the intercom on my desk. Security, we have a situation in conference room 1. As 2 guards grabbed Leo and Monica, he continued to struggle wildly. Sophia, you'll regret this. You can't do this to me. Aren't you afraid people will say you're ungrateful? Sophia took my arm, her voice quiet but firm. Go. I never want to see you again. Through the glass doors, Leo's contorted face finally disappeared from view. But Sophia and I had both underestimated just how persistent he could be. In the blink of an eye, it was the evening before our wedding. Sophia was at home observing the tradition of the bride staying in before the wedding day when my phone began to ring incessantly. The hotel manager's frantic voice exploded through the receiver. Mr. Cole, the floral arrangements in the ballroom have been destroyed. The champagne tower was knocked over and there's someone in the main lobby making a scene with a photograph. I grabbed my jacket and sprinted out the door. 2 of my bodyguards right behind me. As we pulled up to the hotel, I could see a crowd gathered around the revolving doors. Leo was standing on the steps holding a half-life photo. It was a picture of him, his arms wrapped around Sophia in her wedding dress, a blatant Photoshop of our own engagement photo. I saw red below him. A few people were helping him hold a banner. The bright red letters were jarring. The 1% forces a marriage. A home wrecker steals a bride. Everyone look. Leo's voice was thick with a practiced sob. When he saw me arrive, he grew even more animated, pointing a finger directly at me. This man is using the power of the Cole Corporation to force Sophia into marrying him. She had already agreed to be my wife. We even had our wedding photos taken. He then ripped open a shirt collar to reveal a dark reddish mark on his collarbone. She was with me just last night, and tomorrow she's being forced to marry this scumbag. Everyone, help me take down this trash who knowingly destroyed our love. With that, he actually charged forward, ready to throw a punch. Get him out of here, I said calmly to my bodyguards. They moved like hawks, flanking him and seizing his arms. Leo began to struggle frantically. Don't you touch me. Ethan Cole is the home wrecker here. All of you are witnesses. Help me serve justice and take this lowlife down. He thrashed and writhed, but no one in the crowd moved to help him. How can you all be so apathetic? Leo seemed genuinely confused that the onlookers weren't immediately forming an angry mob on his behalf. An older man finally spoke up. Son, what are you talking about? We're just here for the free entertainment. A murmur of agreement went through the crowd. Yeah, in this day and age, you wouldn't dare help an old lady who fell down. You think we're going to get involved in this? We don't even know you exactly. You walk away scot-free and whoever throws a punch is the one who gets screwed. How about a Zumba class to get to? Who has time for your drama? Kid, if you want to act, go to Hollywood. Leo was getting desperate. Don't be afraid of him. Justice is on our side. There's safety in numbers. We be cleaning up society, doing a good thing. A young woman nearby let out a snicker. Dude, with AI and Photoshop being what they are, who knows if that picture is even real? Another person chimed in, looking at it. The bride's shoulder in your photo looks different from the one in the real wedding portrait they had inside, and you're a lot scrawnier in person than in that picture. You sure you didn't just Photoshop your head onto it? The crowd started whispering, pointing at him. Leo's face turned beet red as he screamed, You're all just a bunch of pathetic, spineless sheep. The police will be here any minute. Sophia's voice cut through the noise. She strode through the crowd in high heels, her white blouse immaculate, her expression furious. Intentional destruction of property, public defamation, and fabricating evidence. Those 3 charges should be enough to give you some time to cool off in a holding cell. The moment Leo saw Sophia, the fight went out of him. His expression shifted to one of pleading. Sophia, I only did it because I love you so much. I was desperate. Love is not an excuse to break the law. Sophia turned to the crowd with a professional smile, pulling her marriage certificate from her purse. Mr. Ethan Cole and I have been in a committed relationship for many years and will be officially celebrating our marriage tomorrow. This individual has been harassing us repeatedly. We would appreciate it if you would all serve as witnesses to this event. The crowd erupted in jeers aimed at Leo. Get lost, you creep. Stop trying to punch above your weight. Yeah, trying to use us to attack her actual husband. How pathetic. Leo was socially obliterated, his face a mask of utter defeat as he was being loaded into the police car. He kept looking back, but Sophia had already turned and thrown her arms around me, her body trembling slightly. That bastard was probably trying to incite a mob to take you out, she whispered. Thank God the bystanders here have more brains than the characters in those trashy online stories. I'm so sorry. I should have dealt with him for good, she said, her voice muffled against my chest, her hair damp with sweat. I held her tight, kissing the top of her head. As long as we trust each other, no scheme is ever going to work, and this pathetic drama is officially over. The hotel staff worked through the night to restore the venue. The next day, Sophia and I were married without a hitch. I later heard that Leo got 15 days in jail for disorderly conduct. He had earned every second of it. After clearing our schedules completely, Sophia and I spent 2 glorious months on our honeymoon. On our first day back, Sophia was in her office opening an email from her secretary. A report on Leo's current situation appeared on the screen. The attached photo showed a man huddled on a decrepit sofa in a grimy, run-down studio apartment in some forgotten corner of the city, unshaven and disheveled. He looked nothing like the polished young man he once was. He lost his job, but was too proud to take anything less. Now he's living on credit, drinking away what little he has left. Sophia tapped the screen with her finger. I came up behind her, wrapping my arms around her waist and inhaling the scent of her perfume. Does it scare you? Thinking back, I rested my chin on her shoulder. If he had just been a little more patient, kept up the act for a few more years. Impossible. She turned in my arms to face me. No matter what, he was always an outsider. Even if he hadn't shown his true colors then, he would never have had access to anything that truly mattered. I'm not some naive love-struck CEO from a cheesy romance novel who trusts the wrong person. I laughed, taking her hand with the diamond ring on it and kissing her knuckles. It's my fault. I get too jealous. I can't stand seeing anyone else get close to you. Sophia's smile faded slightly. We still need to be careful. A desperate man will do desperate things, especially one who's had a taste of a better life. He can't even make rent right now. There's no telling what he might try. I've already hired full-time undercover security for you, I said, helping her with her coat. The new bodyguards are accessory forces. More than enough to handle a sewer rat like him. She nodded. We shared a look, a silent understanding passing between us. The first weekend after our honeymoon was bright and sunny. Sophia and I were taking a walk in Central Park. She held a cone of cotton candy, periodically offering me a bite. When we reached the pavilion by the lake, she tugged on my sleeve playfully. Ethan, my feet are tired. Let's sit for a bit. We had just settled onto a stone bench. Sophia resting her head on my shoulder, about to post a photo to her Instagram when a dark figure caught her eye. A man in a baseball cap was charging directly at me. The sunlight glinted off something cold and sharp at his hand. Sophia let out a gasp, but I held her firmly behind me. As the man rushed us, I felt no panic, only a grim satisfaction. The enhanced security measures had been the right call. Before he could even get close, 2 bodyguards materialized from the crowd, moving like leopards. They tackled him, disarmed him, and had him pinned to the ground in seconds. I strode over and ripped off the man's cap and mask, revealing Leo's twisted, hate-filled face. I should have known it was you, I said with a sneer. Didn't your trip to jail teach you anything, Leo? Held with his arms twisted behind his back. Leo continued to struggle, his eyes wild with madness. He stared at me, his eyes bloodshot, and screamed, Ethan Cole, you're nothing without your family name. I'm smarter. I'm better than you in every way. Why you get to marry Sophia while I'm left with nothing? Why couldn't you just die like you were supposed to? His shouting drew a crowd of onlookers who began to murmur among themselves. Sophia emerged from behind me, her eyes blazing with fury. Leo, my family gave you an education, gave you a career, and you repay us by trying to destroy our lives again and again. Have you no conscience? Conscience? Leo spat from the ground, the veins in his neck bulging. You're the ungrateful ones. If I hadn't jumped in that river and pulled you out, you both would have died. And now you just want to throw me away like trash. He turned his head to the crowd. Is there any justice in this world? It was our mistake for being too naive, Sophia said, her voice dripping with contempt. We never imagined someone could be so manipulative, so willing to weaponize a good deed. I raised an eyebrow. Soph, did you get the results from that thing I asked you to look into? Yes, my investigator just emailed them to me. I was going to wait until we got home. What did you investigate? Don't tell me you're trying to deny he saved your lives. You monsters. Leo's head thrashed, scraping his forehead on the pavement. Sophia. And I looked at the email on her phone together. Her face slowly turned to stone. I just shook my head and laughed. To think our families have been fooled by a child for so many years. Throw him in the lake, Sophia said suddenly, her voice dangerously quiet. The bodyguards complied, dragging Leo to the edge and kicking him into the water. He immediately began to flail and choke. Help! I can't swim. Sophia. Ethan, are you trying to kill me? At a nod from Sophia, one of the guards tossed him a rope. Leo grabbed it and managed to paddle his way back to shore, gasping for air. Before he could recover, the other guard used the same rope to tie him up securely. Leo sat there bound and defeated before suddenly screaming at the top of his lungs to the crowd. When I was a kid, I risked my life to save them both from a river. And what do I get for it? This man steals my wife. Sophia turns her back on me because I'm poor. And now they want me dead. Tears streamed down his face as he put on a heart-wrenching performance, hoping to finally win the crowd to his side. Instead, he was met with laughter. A little girl with pigtails peeked out from behind her mother and pointed at Leo. Mister, you're a big liar. You just said you can't swim and needed a rope to get out of the lake. But now you're saying you saved people from a river when you were little. Even I know that doesn't make sense. You should be ashamed. A wave of derisive laughter rippled through the onlookers. The color drained from Leo's face. He finally realized his decade-long secret was out. He opened his mouth to try and explain, but Sophia cut him off. Don't bother making up any more stories. To be honest, I never doubted you before, but your recent actions showed me your true character, and I find it impossible to believe that a person as vile as he would ever risk his life for someone else. She held up her phone, playing a video. This is from my investigator's trip to your old hometown. Everyone there said the same thing. You never learned how to swim. The voice of his town's mayor was perfectly clear. That kid scared to death of the water. He'd walk a mile out of his way just to avoid crossing a bridge. Sophia looked down at him. You told one hell of a lie all those years ago. We never imagined a child could be so audacious, so we fell for it. She swiped to another document. And it gets better. You used your sick grandmother as an excuse to get into our house and take photos, but your grandmother passed away over a year ago. You sent a neighbor a few thousand to handle the funeral, but you never even showed up. And now you're playing the part of the devoted grandson. She scoffed. You are the most heartless creature I have ever met. The crowd stared at him with disgust. Leo's face cycled through shades of red and white before he finally gave up the struggle and looked up. It's true. When I found you, you were both already lying unconscious on the riverbank. A strange smile played on his lips. I was about to go get help, but then your parents showed up. They saw me kneeling next to you and they just assumed. At first, I was going to tell the truth, but then Ethan woke up and couldn't remember anything. And I just wanted to see what would happen. I wanted to see what I could get. So, you just live with it. You took my family's money and you even thought you deserved my daughter. I squeezed Sophia's trembling shoulder, my voice cold. Leo's head snapped toward me and he roared. And what if I did? I fell in love with her the moment I saw her. Why shouldn't I be the one by her side? As the sound of approaching sirens grew louder, he fell quiet. He turned to Sophia, his throat working. Sophia, all these years, was there ever a moment? Did you ever care for me, even a little? Sophia clutched my hand tightly. Family money aside, Ethan remembers every single one of my favorite things. He's the one who stays up all night changing cold compresses when I have a fever. He's the one who would secretly leave the last piece of cake in my backpack for me to find. She glanced down at Leo on the ground. You, on the other hand, have only ever taken from my family. And the one thing I thought you gave me, saving my life, was a lie. Not to mention, she added, Ethan is better looking, wealthier, and far more capable than you. Why would you ever delude yourself into thinking I would choose you? Did you really read so many of those online stories that you thought a woman in my position would fall for some fragile sad boy type? As the police hauled him away, Leo was still muttering, I just loved her. Sophia collapsed into my arms, her tears soaking the front of my shirt, her voice was thick with emotion. Ethan, I know it now. You were the one who saved me that day. You must have lost the memory when you got that fever. After all this time, it turns out fate had us bound together from the very beginning. I smiled, tilting her face up and gently wiping a tear from her cheek. Silly girl. We've been bound together since the first time you shared your candy with me. 3 months later, I was with Sophia at her doctor's appointment. The words 8 weeks pregnant on the ultrasound report made her eyes shine. She traced the image of the grainy photo, a teary smile on her face. Look, our little bean has such a strong heartbeat. They're going to be brave, just like their father. The following year, our daughter's first cries filled the delivery room. Sophia's face was beaded with sweat, but she insisted on being the one to place the small gold bracelet I'd had made on her daughter's wrist. Engraved on the inside were her initials, CSC for Charlotte Sophia Cole. Leo's was grim. Bribery, embezzlement, attempted murder. The charges piled up. He was sentenced to 15 years. I heard that in prison, he lost his mind, constantly telling other inmates he was the son-in-law of the Hayes family. They didn't take kindly to his delusions. They broke both his legs and shattered his right hand. Of course, his fate no longer had anything to do with us. Sophia stood by the window holding our daughter and turned to me with a radiant smile. I walked over and wrapped them both in my arms. Our life together was just.